along with Alejandra Hernandez, who is covering issues at the Greene County Annex, along with Chris Hutchison, who has traded his sports hat this evening for a reporter hat and helping us out in Cross County. We're going to check in with all of them, but first we are going to go to Hayden Savage, who is live tonight with us in Clay County, and he has been following several issues up there, most notably the proposed $5 million increase over the current tax rate. And Hayden, tell us a little bit more about that issue so people can understand why it is so important and on the ballot this year.
Yeah, hey, good evening, Diana. I'm actually outside the courthouse. They just have started counting in here in the courtroom at 7:30. Polls closed, early voting numbers and everything, like you mentioned, being tabulated right now. So the Corning School millage vote is actually surrounding, of course, the Corning School District. They're wanting to build a new high school, and that's actually why they're asking for the raise there.
Now, you have been at that location for a while. You were reporting in at 5 and 6, and you've been there. You've seen the voters come in throughout the day. How would you characterize the turnout there at that location?
So the courthouse is where everything's being counted. We were actually at the community center not too long ago. That's where all the election day voting was going on. And, we got there about 3 o'clock. And there was a steady stream of people coming in and out. And then about 4 o'clock, things kind of slowed down. And then 5 o'clock, after everybody got off work, things really started to pick back up. There were probably, I would say, between 50 and 75 voters that voted at 5 o'clock and between 5 and 6 o'clock. There were a bunch of people coming in and out. And I did mention in my 6 o'clock hit, I stopped a few of them, asked why they came out and voted today. And they said that Corning millage vote was the reason they came out and let their voice be heard. And like I mentioned, it was about 50-50. Some voted for that tax or the millage increase, and then some voted against it.
All right, and so it's hard to know because you're at a different location whether there were people in line still at 7:30, but you would characterize the turnout as pretty good for Super Tuesday?
So the county clerk, Tyler Weiss, told me that they actually had a really good turnout, they thought, for Super Tuesday. And then also early voting, they said they thought the reason for the big turnout was like what we've been talking about, the Corning millage vote.
Right. Now, were there any issues throughout the day, any voting issues, any problems to talk about?
So I just mentioned the county clerk. This is actually her first year, and she said so far things have actually went pretty smoothly. So they're counting right now. We'll see how that process goes as well.
All right. Well, we will no doubt be checking back in with you throughout the evening to get the very latest results. But thank you for bringing us up to speed there in Clay County. Thank you so much, Hayden Savage. Well, we're turning our attention now, shifting gears a bit, to our Maddie Sexton, who has been working here in Craighead County. And in Craighead County, they're considering a 1% sales and use tax, as well as Lake City weighing a bond issue having to do with improvements to the city sewage system, the city sewer system. And so that's no small feat. I believe that it was talking about $4 million in bond issues. So we're going to turn our attention to Maddie right now, who, if you were watching during the 6 o'clock news, Maddie, you voted there at the end of the newscast. Was the process easy?
Yeah, it was. That was my second time ever voting in my life. And all the poll workers there, they really encouraged me to vote. They were talking to me and our other reporter, Ron Deja, and they were like, have y'all voted yet? And I was like, you know what? I haven't. I might as well stay back and do it for the 6th. And it was very simple. The machines, there wasn't too much to it. And yeah, I really enjoyed doing that. Got my sticker. There it is.
Now let's talk about the turnout that you have seen. I know there's several different locations in Craighead County, the Allen Park, Parker Park. I voted at Earl Bell. Earl Bell was very busy throughout the day.
Yes.
What about your location?
Yeah, I was at Parker Park, and they said it was pretty slow all day long. There was a total of a little over 200, I believe, at Parker Park. Earl Bell, actually, where you voted, Diana, had the most. They had over 600 people vote there today. And I think the last I've heard was around 6 o'clock, and there was almost 4,000-ish voters that voted in Craighead County today. And right now, I was just told that there's still some people in line, and they cannot finish counting until everyone has casted in their ballots. And so we're waiting around. It should be any minute now. I was told we'd get some early voting numbers before 8. So just kind of waiting around on those. So if you see me turning around constantly, I've just been, the election commission's room is right behind me. So I've just been constantly turning around and seeing if they have posted those numbers yet, but not right now. I'm still waiting on those.
Because that is what happens. You're in the nerve center of it all, and they post the results, and everybody runs over to see the latest posting. And some of these have been the early voting vote totals. And so you'll be there this evening watching those. Were there any problems voting throughout the day reported in Craighead County?
No, I did not hear of any problems. I had the only thing that the poll workers at Parker Park were telling me was that it was just pretty slow, but everything seemed to be working just fine. And I haven't heard of any other problems, but there were 15 locations here in Craighead County, so I wasn't able to be everywhere, but I believe everything has gone according to plan for the most part.
Right. And so we're seeing some voting right there that took place earlier today. Now, the issues that the voters had to look at, to consider, tell us a little bit about those, because there were a few, as I mentioned earlier, that were of interest. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so in Bay, they're voting for a sales and use tax. So I talked to the mayor a couple weeks ago. He said that was going to go towards new equipment for their fire department. He said the city of Bay's oldest fire truck was 24 years old, I believe. And so they really are wanting to use the bond for that, and also bring upgrades to city parks as well. And then yes, with the new sewage bond for Lake City. But I talked to a lot of people who really just wanted to come in and vote because they felt like it was their duty. Not a lot of people really mentioned specific items that they were passionate about or that they were, felt the need to come in. It was like the people who came in were clearly used to voting. I really didn't see a whole lot of young people. There were a few, but just mainly people who I think enjoy coming and doing this process. I know a lot of the poll workers at Parker Park. This one woman said that she'd been doing it and kind of volunteering and working the polls for 15 years. So she said she loves doing it every year, loves meeting the people. So I think it was just a rather slow day, and not too many people were mentioning specific problems or anything to me, at least.
That's good. And so throughout the day, as you mentioned, it's kind of a social event for some who work the polls. And so we're going to check back in with you throughout the evening, Maddie. I know that on the particular ballot that I saw, a lot of candidates running unopposed, having drawn one drawing against them, running against them this particular time. So that's something else that people consider to probably notice there on their ballot. And I'm going to let you, I see you turning around. They posted some results.
Every
I'm
two
going to let you
seconds.
go check them. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Maddie Sexton, reporting in from the Craighead County Election Annex this evening. Now, also, we have Alejandra Hernandez. She is working in Greene County tonight, keeping track of the vote totals there. She has been in Greene County throughout the day, and so we're going to check in with Alejandra here, leaving Maddie behind and going on to Alejandra if she can take a look. Let's see here. There she is. All right, Alejandra, we're going to pop you up here and tell us a little bit about the turnout that you have seen throughout the day. You've been up there for most of the afternoon.
Yeah, good evening, Diana. Yeah, I've been here for most of the afternoon, and I think for me it was pretty steady, and that's what I was told by the poll workers. It's just there was lines of people, but one thing I wanted to note is that these people were coming in and they're kind of getting out pretty fast. So even though there was a line, they were all getting out pretty fast. Now, I stopped by the Paraguay Community Center and it wasn't too busy, but so I went over to the fairgrounds where I was told there was a lot more people, and yeah, there was definitely more people there. Today at the fairgrounds, at 5 there's about 500 people. At 6 there's 600 people that had cast their vote, and by the time I left, which was probably around 7, or that had gone up to another 100. So it's definitely been steady over there.
All right. Now let's talk the issues that they were voting on, and there are a few of major importance today. Alejandra, tell us about some of those in Greene County.
Well, two things actually in Paragould. I'm going to get a little more specific here in Paragould. One is a sales tax increase that's on the ballot. That's 0.75%. And now I covered this story of about a couple of months back, and I spoke to the mayor and to the police about this issue. So what it is this increase is supposed to give pay raises to first responders. Now, at that time, I spoke to the mayor, Josh Agee, who said that they wanted to raise starting pay for first responders to $50,000 a year. They're competing with departments like in Jonesboro who just had their own pay increases, and they told me they were seeing officers that live here working in other areas. So they want to make sure that they keep them here in Paragould. And another thing is that this is from the mayor as well, is that they want to hire more police. They want to hire 17 more police officers, 12 more firefighters, and more dispatchers. And of course, one thing to note as well is that because the city is growing, they need more people. And that's something that the captain, Jason Elms, told me, that right now, Paragould police is staffed at around 50. They say they want around 70. They're hoping that this tax increase will help out with that. The other issue, of course, is the bond restructure for the Paragould School District, which is not a tax increase. It's just a restructure that the school is hoping to build a new gym with more facilities, more space, and more capacity.
Now, when it comes to voting, were there a lot of people, were you aware of, in line at 7:30? They're still trying to get a chance to vote, I assume?
I left a little earlier than I wanted to on that, but there wasn't very many people. There were still several cars out there, so I think people were still trying to come in. And there's definitely people voting at the booth there, but the lines weren't very long at the fairgrounds where I was at. So I think if people wanted to get out, they definitely had a chance to get in there and get out pretty fast.
That's good news. All right. Alejandra Hernandez reporting for us this evening in Greene County at the Greene County Courthouse. Thank you so much, Alejandra. And we turn our attention now, we're going to travel down the road to Cross County. And so in Cross County, we have strategically placed Chris Hutchison, who is, as I mentioned, not following sports tonight. He is reporting for us tonight. And so, Chris, we're going to bring you into the mix here and see if you can give us a little update on how things have gone there in Cross County. I believe he's at the Cross County Courthouse. We're trying to get him ready and on the line there. And so, throughout the day, a lot of people have been checking out this guide right here, our guide for the Arkansas 2024 primary, and looking at all that has been happening today. You can find the different races and you can follow the issues. And so if you are just getting home tonight and want to see what people have been voting on today, that is a great source to go to. And of course, we are trying our very, very best. Here's Chris. We've got him on the line right now. Chris Hutchison reporting for us tonight from Cross County. Chris, tell us what the voter turnout was like there today.
Turnout's been pretty good. Actually, you can just see a little bit over my shoulder. If you can kind of see where we are in the courthouse. They're actually announcing some of the absentee ballots so far in Cross County. Polls just closed at 7:30. I think there may have been a couple folks in line in Cross County, but talked to several election officials in Wynne and in Cherry Valley. In Wynne, they said the turnout's been pretty good. It was a steady stream of voters coming in around the 4 o'clock hour and through 5, 6 o'clock, obviously, and through 7 o'clock. Also stopped by the Cherry Valley Food Pantry. There's 6 locations folks in Cross County can go to vote today. I went over to the Cherry Valley Food Pantry, and they had a slow stream when I went there at like 3 in the afternoon, and then you kind of saw a few more folks come in to cast their ballots. So I would say for Super Tuesday, for a primary out in part of rural and in the city part of Cross County, I think turnout's been pretty good, at least from what I've seen so far too.
Yeah, in the Cross County Food Pantry, the Cherry Valley Food Pantry rather, that's a busy gathering place, and so no doubt a nerve center for the community. Let's talk issues. What did they turn out for? What were they concerned enough about that they turned out to vote today?
In Wynne and Cross County, you each have like respective, millage votes for each respective school district. But I'd say the big election in the area is for the 1% use sales tax vote, where the proceeds essentially that would go towards financing and maintaining Cross Ridge Community Hospital in Wynne, where this tax has been in place in some capacity since the year 2000, so about 24 years. And I had a chance to talk to Administrator Gary Sparks earlier today about the impact the sales tax has had on this hospital, and he said in no uncertain terms, without this sales tax, they can't operate this hospital. And so where it is, especially in Cross County, as we all know, mostly a rural area, obviously helps, takes care of folks in Wynne, but of course the surrounding area and like areas like Parkin, Vandale, Cherry Valley, places like that. So that's obviously the 1% use sales tax. If voters vote for the current iteration of this 1% sales tax would expire September 30th. If voters vote for and essentially extend it again, it would go from October of 2024 until September of 2028. So saw more than a few folks, overheard more than a few folks who came in to vote, said they came in to vote for, to make their voices heard on the 1% use sales tax for the hospital.
All right. So we will be checking back in, no doubt, tonight with you as well about what's going on there in Cross County. But thank you so much, Chris, for joining us and for leaving the sports department behind and helping us report. We appreciate you.
No problem. At the end of the day, elections kind of like sports. All we're doing is just talking about a scoreboard, but it's obviously a political one. So a whole lot of similarities and a whole lot of carryover between the two.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Chris. I like that analogy. Now, a lot of people wonder, why is Super Tuesday such an important thing? Well, Arkansas is one of 15 states taking part in this voting today, and it's very important. Now, the state didn't always participate in Super Tuesday. In fact, we used to vote later in the summer for the primary, but that's why we are doing this coverage tonight, to inform you about the results coming in, and also some things to watch out for. A lot of people are expecting a runoff in the Supreme Court Chief Justice race. So that's something that you'll want to notice. Maybe you notice that there's lots of candidates in the Arkansas judicial races. They're overloaded. For years, there has been discussion about changing the way that we vote on those, maybe having some appointed and then some voted on. We're also following, as I mentioned, that crowded Chief Justice race in Arkansas, and Arkansas could make history with 2 Supreme Court races. There's one with candidates vying for the first elected black justice and the first woman elected to lead the court. So there are some things that you're going to want to watch for this evening, along with all the election results that we will be making available online, on our apps, and of course on the newscast throughout the evening. So we hope you will keep it tuned right here to KAIT8.com, Facebook, Twitter. We've got you covered tonight.